So, Faiz, I'm privileged to be interviewing you today
Yeah.
on the release of your latest album, Images. So,
Mm.
as I understand, it's a 20-track album, and I've had the privilege of listening to a few of them.
Mm.
And Hold the Line, especially, it resonated with me,
Mm.
rang very closely to my heart.
Mm.
So, right off the top of my head, I want to ask you, how do you find the motivation to do 20-track albums? Because it's unheard of in these times. 20
I think
tracks, it's not easy.
yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of time, for sure. I mean, you need to have the patience for it, and you need to really have the vision for it. I mean, it's all about the vision. You need to know where you're going, and you need to know where you're going to end up. That's really important, especially if you want to do a big album. Because the album I did before this, Crisscross, was a 10-track record. It was a simpler record. It was I had a sort of I knew where I had to go with it, but when it came to making images, it took way longer because there was a lot of music from Crisscross and even a lot of my other albums that I didn't put on those records that I
Mm-hmm.
knew would be better off on another record.
Right.
And that sort of kept growing, that sort of catalog of music kept growing, and I knew that I wanted to make it as a whole. I wanted people to enjoy it as a whole. And it took about 2 years to make this record, but there was definitely a path for it. A longer, winding path, but there was definitely a path.
How did you have that conviction in yourself that you're going to, you know, I don't think you put a timeline on your creative flow, but if you were coming out with a 20-track album and, like you said, it took you
Mm.
2 years, it requires patience
Yeah,
and
for
it
sure.
requires the commitment to the vision that, okay, one day this will be made possible.
Yeah.
How do you stick to that? Because music is something that is a product of an artist's creative flow,
Mm.
and to have that creative flow sustained over a period of time
Mm.
as part of a single album,
Mm.
how do you manage that?
That's a good question. I mean, it's definitely
Has the
not.
lockdown given you more time to contemplate on the kind of work you do?
Yeah,
And
I mean, lockdown for sure. I mean, it gave me a lot of time to think about what I'm doing. I mean, before COVID hit and sort of messed with everybody's workflow and all of that. I mean, it was much harder to create stuff on the fly and just release it like the previous records. But now, because I have the time that I was able to really figure out the kind of songs I wanted to make, the kind of vision I had, and to just put it down as
mm-hmm.
sound, not as paper, but to put it not on paper, but just as sound. I think that was really important. Just making the record finished as a finished product, and it stresses me out, man. It's not easy. I mean, just the anxiety of it, just making sure everything is perfect, because I do everything on my own.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have a team. I don't have other people working with me, so it takes a longer amount of time. But I feel like when the product is it's a finished product, and when you listen to the music, just a song as a whole, you're like, yeah, it makes sense. That's how I started it and finished it.
Do you think your music is distinct from other artists of the same genre? Because I feel like you have a very distinct, your music has a very distinct characteristic to it. I've really failed to put it in a box.
I feel like when I
How do you
started,
differentiate your
yeah,
music
when I
from other
started,
artists?
there was a certain sound in my head, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted it to be a certain way. And yeah, when I started, I had this idea of I wanted to do rock. I wanted to do singer songwriter kind of stuff. And my first couple of records and my first song represent that. But I think over time, mm, the idea changed. The kind of sound I wanted to create changed. And I think because of that, it became more of me. You know what I mean? It became more of who I am. And I think this record, Images, is sort of the most me that I've been on an album.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's completely distinct, and it's completely it's unique, I feel. I
Hmm.
mean, not just if I'm unique or not, but just I think the record is unique because of the effort. And
So when you started off uh, with music, you pursued it as a hobby, as an interest of yours. You went to a music school
yeah,
where you met
for
a
sure.
few friends and you worked in a band for the first time and you learned the art of
Mm.
synchronicity
Yeah.
and all of that. But you only started to take your music professionally forward after you had already quit music school. So what was the tipping point? When did you know that you wanted to pursue music professionally?
I think it was the one thing that I knew I could do well.
And you were aware of the
Yeah, yeah. It
sacrifices
was
that
the
you
one
have
thing
to
that
make.
I knew I could do better than everything else. Like I knew I wasn't the best basketball player or football player or the best student, but I knew that I had this music in me and I needed to express it. And I think it just came from the fact that I wanted to express myself. Like because I knew that
Who
certain
are some
things.
of the artists that had the
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I
most?
couldn't say just just as a sentence or like as a paragraph when I'm talking to someone. But it was easier when I sang it, or it was easier when I put it down.
You find yourself more expressive in
It was easier that
your
way.
music.
And that's what sort of started me off on this path, and it made me way more, it sort of made me in tune with what I want to do. And like I was saying, what inspires me, I mean, there are many artists that inspire me. And when I was a kid, Sting really inspired me. He's just the fact that he added all those flourishes in his music, and it was so technical, but it was also so listenable. It was so,
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
it was catchy, and those kind of things really inspired me. Genesis, the band, and then Peter Gabriel, and you have,
For
oh yeah, all
non-blondes.
this, yeah, and even rock. So much of rock inspired me. I mean, Pearl Jam inspired me so much, and even the new music, it sort of gives you inspiration. I
Yeah,
mean, where you want to be and what you want to do, and
yeah, you have to keep up with the times.
you have to. And it's not about copying it, but it's more about where you are and where you
But
stand.
also at the same time, some music, some works of music are
Mm.
timeless. Example, if you
Definitely,
look at,
yeah. That's
yeah,
what I want to do.
Elvis Presley, for
That's
example.
definitely what I do. And Elvis Presley has been such a big inspiration for me since childhood, because he made pop what it is today. He made
Yeah, he
rock and roll what it is today.
characterized
Yeah.
what we call artists
Art
today.
today, yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah.
before
Earlier,
him,
it just used to
yeah,
be a
you
band, a
never
performer,
had
a
you never had a
musician.
singular artist
Yeah,
making the
top the
kind of
charts.
stuff he did and
Hmm.
being as famous and popular as he was. I mean, I definitely look up to him in that way, and I want to sort of emulate that kind of hard work that he had.
Which famous artist would you say your work most closely relates to?
I mean, if I was like, I mean, a part of me would be like, I hope nothing. I hope
Right.
that
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
more
Beautiful. Yeah.
just me.
Original.
Yeah, and I don't want it to.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's totally up to the audience. If they feel like, okay, I sound like someone or I sound like someone else, I think that's totally up to the audience. It's up to the people who listen to it to be like, okay, I sound like this guy.
Speaking of audience, what do you think about your music appeals the most to your audience? Because, like you said, you're not as expressive in your life as you are in your music.
Mm.
You feel more comfortable, more at ease
Mm.
expressing your thoughts and emotion through your work,
To do sound, yeah.
through sound, through the meanings that it can
Mm.
hold for people. So how do you relate to people at that level, especially as an artist who hasn't had much of a social interaction with, let's say, the lower status of life,
So I
people
feel like,
occupying
yeah.
the
So
lower
if
status
I
of
feel
life?
like if I create something, the first thing I do is write for myself. I'm not thinking about if
How to
anyone's
make
gonna
it
like
relatable?
it or if anyone's gonna hate it. I just want to write, and it comes from the heart for sure. It comes from the mindset that I'm at that point, and I just want to tell stories. In the beginning, I wanted to just vent. My first couple of songs were just about me wanting to just vent my emotions. But now it's more of I want to tell a story. I want to just express myself in a way, in an artistic way that people enjoy. But if they want to look deeper into it, they can look deeper into it.
Do you think it is necessary for an artist to have experienced the emotions that they're trying to convey through their music themselves, or do you think artists have the capability of evoking emotions that they themselves might not have experienced to a great
I
degree?
think it totally depends, like you said, on the artist. If an artist wants to say something and be honest with himself or herself, they can. But if they decide that they want to just create something that makes someone move or groove or just dance, that's important as well. But it totally depends on the artist. When I create music, it's definitely about, yeah, I want someone to feel something, but that can be anything. I want someone to feel happy, sad, anything. If I take out any emotion from a song I've written, from you or from anyone, I've done my job. if i'm not even if I'm not even able to take out emotion, then I don't think I've done my job.
Would you say your music relates closely to the emotional experiences that you yourself have gone through, or do you
For
think
sure.
it's more of a
For sure, I
superficial?
feel like
Is your music
everything, yeah,
inspired by real life
I
events?
feel like everything comes from something. And I know that my music definitely comes from a place of realism and from my own experiences. In the beginning, it was 95% just what I've been through. Now it's more of, what if someone was put into a situation? It's more of a story now. It's more of like, I want to create a fairy tale in a way of how
Mhm.
certain people are in certain situations. And that perspective that has changed over the years, I think, has led to the music also being different from what it used to be in the beginning.
What does a day in your life look like as an artist? Like not having an office to go to, not
Mhm.
having a regular routine schedule to fit into. You
Yeah,
have
I
to
feel
fit it.
like, yeah, I feel like you have to create your own routine and you have to sort of be dedicated to what you want to do. Um, in the beginning, for sure, everything is tough. You have no idea. You're just thrown into this space of not knowing what's going on. You just you have a blindfold on and you're just thrown into the ocean. It's like that. You don't know where to go, where to swim to. But I think with time, you sort of find certain touchstones, and you know exactly what to
You
do
can navigate your
where.
way through it,
Yeah, and yeah, sort of how to just find your path.
persist.
Yeah, and that's really important. I feel like you need to know, you need to go through all of that to find your path, and that's what I've done. I didn't have any guidelines, or I didn't have any blueprint to what I want to do. It just, you just do it, you
Yeah, you
know.
figure it out along the way, I
Yeah, you
suppose.
just do it. And so many artists, I mean, even now that I know, who just work a lot, but sometimes just working on the music isn't enough. You need to have a vision, you need to have a goal, you know. Like I always say, you need to have a goal and you need to know where you want to go. And if you don't know that path, you're just confused, you know. And I used to be like that, and I feel that I'm still sort of trying to find my way, but I feel like it's clearer now than it used to be.
You know, one of my personal favorite tracks from your
Mm.
album, your most recent album, Images, is "Hold the Line,"
Yeah.
and it appeals to me on all levels. You know, it's I can relate to the lyrics, at the same time I can groove to the music,
Mm.
and it just it's sort of, you know, it evokes the sad emotions in me, and then sort
Also
of wraps
energetic,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it sort of energizes it's sort of an emotional release, you
So
know,
you
to
know,
have something like that be
yeah,
conveyed
yeah,
so
you know that track,
beautifully. Yeah, what's the
that
story behind that
so
track?
that track actually means many different things to many different people,
Of
for
course,
sure.
yeah,
But when I wrote it,
it's subject to personal
my
interpretation.
the hold the line itself was, I want to. It's like when someone is holding back all these emotions that they have. You know,
Hmm.
they're holding the line, and that holding the line is, they're holding the emotions back because they don't know what to say. Sometimes in life, you're so nervous, you're so scared, you don't know what to say in many situations.
Yeah,
And that's what the song is about: is that hold those emotions back, and you're scared and you don't want to let it go. And that's the protagonist in that song, goes through those kind of fears.
but at the same time the music is sort of
No,
more on an
because that's the
optimistic level.
excitement of it.
Yeah,
It's also exciting, because you're scared, but you're also excited.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah. I mean, those two emotions
yeah,
are
you're like,
comparable.
I'm scared. I want to say what I want to say, but I'm also scared of it. But that's the excitement of it.
Yeah,
That's the
beautiful.
excitement of youth, I guess. Is just um, having that. It's a liability, man. Every emotion is a liability.
Yeah,
In our age, in our time, it's a liability, and I think that portrays that. I mean, as well as
yeah,
it could. I mean, I
absolutely.
tried to portray it in a way.
And I think you do a brilliant job at it. And I'm a personal fan of your music. Not, I'm not
Thanks.
saying that as a friend, but just as an honest.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Fucking if someone likes it, that's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not just someone, it's a lot of people.
You know,
If you were to, you know, say something
yeah.
to independent artists who might be following you, because you yourself are an independent artist, so if there were members of your audience who wanted to
Yeah.
emulate what you've achieved, what would you like to say to them?
I mean, first of all, I'd say is that it's not easy. It's really tough to just put your own sort of fingerprint, put your own mark on the stuff that exists today, and have your like something that people know it's you. But just don't give up, man. Just don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't.
Very important.
Just keep doing it. It doesn't matter. After a certain point, it doesn't matter if this didn't work, that didn't work. Just keep doing it. And I think
Should an artist be worried about making the sacrifices that are required to be an artist? You know, like take the risk of.
I feel everybody makes
As an
sacrifice.
artist, I think it's very risky because you can never tell when you might become irrelevant.
I think in every career you make sacrifices, whether
Yeah.
it be a doctor.
So should upcoming
engineer.
artists be worried about being relevant or being
I mean,
recognized,
an
or
upcoming
should they just
artist,
be focused on work?
an upcoming artist shouldn't even think about those things.
Yeah.
An upcoming artist should think about what they're making right now, and they should think about is it the best that it can be. Because that's how I started. I wanted every song to be the best that it could be. I didn't think about is this gonna work with.
Yeah, is this
I
gonna
want to
blow
like
up? Is
it.
this
It
gonna,
has to
yeah.
be likable to me. It has to hit me first, and then you sort of see what the result is. But before that, I mean, how can you? For any artist, I think it should be like that. It's just make something good, make something that you feel is amazing, and then it's for the people to decide whether it's amazing or not. But as long as you know it's amazing, at least you know.
Yeah. On that note, Faz, it was great chatting with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. I mean,
Great
this is
interview,
great, and
and keep making more music.
for
Keep
sure, man.
inspiring other
More
independent
records to make
artists.
more music, but
Yeah.
I hope that people take a lot from this.
So that was it, guys. It was a pleasure interviewing your artist Faiz Khan, and for all of you who know his music and who like his music, I'm sure it's gonna be a great time for you guys watching this interview, and you're gonna hear firsthand from the person himself, the man behind the music. And if you like the interview, be sure to comment, subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and keep listening to more of Faiz's music and keep supporting independent artists, guys. On that note, bye bye.